My name's Bill Haw, an amateur vintage racer. I've had this car for 20 years, racing in different vintage series here in the U.S. It's a Porsche 962. This is a IMSA spec 962. There basically were two types. There was the Group C twin turbo cars, which went through a variety of iterations, and then there were the air-cooled IMSA cars. This is the air-cooled IMSA car. The big distinguishing feature of them is the big scoop for the intercooler air on the engine cover. That's a good bet it's an IMSA car then. It's the prototypical Porsche flat six. It's a 3-liter Singo turbo, unlike the Group C cars, the twin turbo. It's all air-cooled, just like your favorite mid-80s 911. It's machined differently inside for cooling reasons and so forth, and performance enhancements, but if you look on the side of the engine block, it'll be 930 something something. I was in the 50-50 race at Watkins Glen we had a 930 turbo. I was on the back straight and I looked in the mirror and it looked like a Tiger coming. It was orange and black, and I was going as fast as I had ever gone, and Brian Redman went by me like I was standing still. And so I said, I have to find out what that is, who that is, and how I get involved in that. Well, there's a couple of different things that go through your mind. First of all, when you get out of the car, you think, well, maybe I'm going to wake up and I'm just a little kid playing with cars. Because there's something about, you know, as amateurs, why do we get to drive these cars? We really have no business being in them. None of us are as good as we think we are or ever were, you know, or anything like that. You know that when you see a legitimate professional. The car itself is extremely ergonomic to drive. Everything is where you'd want it to be. It was designed for long distance Le Mans racing. The shifter's where you want, everything's where you want. It's actually quite comfortable. There's absolutely no visibility behind you. Everything behind you is completely invisible. All you can see is left and right, a little bit if somebody's going to overtake you. That's all you can see. So there's a strategy to, you know, deal with that. The cars are extremely stiffly sprung, and to get the ground effects working, they need to be low. For them to be low, they need to be stiff so they don't bounce off the road. So the ride height in the front is particularly important for the ground effects to work on these cars. But as a result, on a bumpy track, the best analogy is like a stone skipping across the water, even though there's a lot of downforce. And so that's the biggest thing. It can be physical. And the cars were designed for high-speed sweepers, and so we see that like on a race, in a vintage race. If you're next to a Trans Am car, there's no way you're going to outpull him on the straight. But you can go through corners much faster, particularly sweepers with the ground effects. That's what they were designed for. So they don't necessarily have huge amounts of power, 650, 700 horsepower, which is a lot, but compared to a 900 horsepower Trans Am or 1,000 horsepower or something, it actually isn't a lot. This is my first time doing the Classic 24. I listened to the IMSA radio broadcast. I think the lead protagonist, John Heinhoff, he says in the beginning, in the build-up, if you're not excited by this, then you're not a real racing fan. And I thought of that relative to this race. Like if you're not excited by this format and something, then, you know, think about that, why you aren't, because it's something that's so unique compared to all the other vintage racing we have in the US, East or West Coast. Their approach to the classic sessions, how they're running them, the rules for them and so forth, it's really trying to promote getting the cars out for some distance, but some of them, you know, we can't really run them. You couldn't run the car 24 hours. Well, you could, but could you afford to? And so it's a good format to try these different things, which sort of made these older cars famous, the 24-hour races. That's how Porsche established their heritage at Le Mans and here and so forth. So I wanted to, you know, show a sign of support, get some of my friends with 962s here. There's a couple others that are here that we said, let's all go to this one. So that's why we're here.